we'll go across to our other guests as well who are joining us on this broadcast. We have Saurav Dutt, who's an author with us. Also with us is Ms. Manu Khajaria, Indian citizen based in the United Kingdom since the last 12 years. Mr. Saurav Dutt, I want to begin by asking you, what happened in Leicester was very clear. All of us saw it. Saffron flags were desecrated in Leicester. Hindus and their symbols were targeted. Back then, an attempt was made to portray the onslaught on Hindus as a justified reaction to a deliberate provocation. We've accessed several videos through that time period, and all of them showed how Muslim mobs were instigated by those who enjoy considerable influence, and Mr. Freeman is one such person. Majid Freeman was one such person who kept peddling anti-Hindu propaganda and was repeatedly fact-checked by the Leicester police. Now the Leicester Mayor is buying into what people like Freeman are saying and are recognizing Hinduphobia. On what basis? This is extremely problematic.
It's hugely problematic. What they say is a little knowledge can be dangerous. In this case, a little false knowledge can be extremely dangerous. What's happened in this case is that the mayor has, for some incredible reason, decided to take his knowledge and his information from one of the most insidious, divisive demagogues that he could have taken information from. Mr. Freeman is what is called a carpetbagger. He has come into the area to whip up a frenzy of hate, a frenzy of anger and rage and misinformation, and he is sitting back now to watch the damage unfold. What is even more puzzling is why the media houses and the mayor in this case have chosen this one person to be the arbiter of information. He has no credentials whatsoever other than leaving damage in his wake. Why would the mayor, coming from public office and such an esteemed high office, choose to take his information as fact from a demagogue like Freeman? This can only pave the way towards further damage with the Hindu community, which is already developing so many fault lines. The fact that he has chosen to side with this individual and that the media houses themselves have still not learnt their lesson, that they cannot get their information from the likes of Freeman, is extremely troubling. Where are the Hindu voices in all of this? They are being completely neglected. All of the while, the demagogues are the ones who are running the narrative.
What is all the more problematic is that, we did do a little bit of research, and when we saw what Mr. Mayor had to say back then, he completely pinned the blame on social media disinformation. He said it is this that is completely responsible for the kind of chaos and violence that was witnessed across Leicester and also in Birmingham. So why this U-turn? Ms. Manu Khajaria, if you'd like to come in, because you've stayed in the United Kingdom, you've seen how the two communities have lived together. But here's a man, Majid Freeman, and there are others like him as well. We did talk about them. We did put out videos of how they're instigating the mob there. But here's a man, who peddled fake news about a Muslim boy being targeted by Hindus, fake news about Hindu men abducting a Muslim girl. All of his lies were called out and busted by the Leicester police. Why then the mayor is buying into it?
Yes, absolutely. The statement by the mayor is very shocking and very disappointing. And it's a well-established fact that Majid Freeman is nothing but an Islamist who has explicitly shown support, and this is not me saying it, but various media houses have also documented this, where he has shown support for Al-Qaeda, he has shown support for ISIS terrorists, and he's the man who was spearheading. We are continuously talking about the disinformation campaign, which had a very important role to play in the violence we have seen against Hindus in Leicester, and he was leading this pack of the people who were instigating violence against Hindus via lies that they were spreading. Majid Freeman was in fact called a community activist by the media, which has done a very shoddy job. I wouldn't call it journalism or ethical journalism for that matter. And now Mr. Peter Soulsby, the mayor, has in fact talked only to one side of the party. He has not waited for a fair investigation, independent investigation. He has passed the verdict, even before a trial. He has spoken to Majid Freeman during an event facilitated by the active Leicester Muslims, a group in Leicester. He has decided the blame is, to do with some imagined Hindutva ideology. And the fact is very important. The fact is that the Hindus, in fact, the Hindus living in Leicester or elsewhere, you will see less of them coming out in the open and speaking because they are the victims. They are living in fear, and they have been made out to be perpetrators by liars and fake news peddlers and by political representatives like Mr. Soulsby, who have not bothered to talk to the other side and already passed a judgment. And I think the Honourable MP Bob Blackman, in fact, pointed out Labour, the City Council for Leicester is predominantly Labour. Labour is infamous for its anti-Hindu and anti-India narrative, though now the Labour leader, Mr. Keir Starmer, is making attempts to woo the Hindu community, but clearly he has a problem in his hands with very anti-Hindu, representatives like Peter Soulsby. So it is a predominantly Labour council. And in fact, the results are showing you have somebody in East Leicester winning the by-elections yesterday, a Conservative candidate.
Khajaria, even back then, you had multiple parliamentarians from United Kingdom and also the Indian High Commission officials who'd condemned this act and who'd figured out and pinned down, what had happened, pinned it on all of those who were responsible for creating this kind of hate and instigating the mob. So where did the entire administration or the officials go wrong in calling this out? Because back then it was very clear what had happened.
Absolutely. And in fact, this is a failure on part of all these various parties. And you, just an hour back, in fact, you will see that a letter written and signed by 180 Indian and Hindu organizations in UK has gone out. It's an open letter to the Prime Minister asking for free and independent investigation into the crimes, into the rising Hindu hate in the UK, into funding to sort of support the awareness programs in schools in UK against Hindu children in schools. And in fact, the homegrown extremism that we are seeing in Britain, this is a part of that, an extension of that. And there are pockets in UK, and it is also, this is a fallout of that kind of homegrown extremism.
Absolutely. And why this is all the more problematic is because these kind of statements coming in from the mayor's office, even as there are Hindus who are recovering from the ordeal of being hounded, attacked at temples, not just that, also them being subjected to racist slurs. All of this is just going to enable Hinduphobia, and that's something that cannot be allowed. It's completely uncalled for. I'm going to have to leave it at that. Thank you, Mr. Saurav Dutt, and also Ms. Manu Khajaria for joining us here on Times Now. Thank you.